All right. Hello and welcome to Kenosha Reads YA. And this month is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So we are going to be highlighting some books by Asian American or Pacific Islander authors. And I'm Alejandria, and I'm the Teen Services Librarian, and you can find me hanging out around Southwest Library if you need some book recommendations.
I'm Susannah. I'm the Teen and Family Engagement Librarian at Northside Branch, and you can also find me for more book recommendations.
And I am Megan, and I am an early literacy specialist. And I actually bounce back and forth between Northside and Southwest. So
you never know where you're going to find me.
Depending on the day, but I'm always good for a book recommendation.
All right, and of course we are giving spoiler-free book recommendations today in the form of book talks. I will go first. I returned to one of my first loves in the sci-fi genre for my book recommendation this month, and it is called Want, and it's by Cindy Pan. It is, I go back and forth between whether I love fantasy or sci-fi more, but I kind of am leaning towards sci-fi. So this is very much a sci-fi book. It's set in a future Taiwan, and it centers around a character named Jason. And Jason lives in a society where the very wealthy, kind of corrupt people have a whole lot, and they have the ability to live in a world that's very polluted and has a lot of disease in it because they have these wonderful fancy suits that allow them to have extended life. Whereas people like Jason, who is a street kid, do not have a lot, have a very short and very tough life. After losing someone very close to him, Jason decides he is fed up with this way that the world is, and gains some finances through some not so legal means, and with a group of friends infiltrates the wealthy elite to take them down from the inside. But of course there's a catch. He ends up falling for the daughter of a CEO of one of the wealthy corporations. So I think it's like a very adventurous novel, and if you love sci-fi, I think you'll really like it. If you like books that kind of deal with the idea of corrupt government or like dystopian style books, I think you will like this book. There is also a sequel called, I believe it's called Ruse. And they both have very similar wonderful covers, which I will have put here. I actually meant to go here, but it's fine.
One way or the other.
Yes. So if you're looking for a good sci-fi read, try Want.
All right, so my book this month is The Way You Make Me Feel by Maurene, who is a Korean author. She writes mostly contemporary romance, but this one's a little bit less of a romance and a little bit more of a contemporary friendship, family kind of story. But it does have some romance too. So the main character in The Way You Make Me Feel is Clara Shin, who is, I think you'll really like her if you like your protagonists a little bit unlikable. I found her very likable, but she's kind of a mess. She doesn't make all the best decisions in this story. And so it starts with a prank gone horribly, horribly wrong at school. That forces Clara to spend the summer working on her father's Korean-Brazilian fusion food truck in very close quarters with her arch nemesis from school, Rose. So they are, in some ways, the central relationship in the story as they have to learn to work together. Clara's kind of approaches everything with sort of a careless attitude. She doesn't think things really matter very much a lot of the time. And so that attitude is tested as she deals with this new relationship with Rose. She meets this boy named Hamlet, and then she has a really kind of fraught conflict with her father, who she usually has a really mellow relationship with. So everything just kind of changes all at once. There's romance, there's pranks, there's so many descriptions of food you will want to be eating the whole time you read this. I love this one as a summer read. It feels like iced coffee and food trucks and being outside in the summertime. And Clara's dad is one of my favorite parents in all of YA, so highly recommend.
All right, so my book is, it actually comes out, I believe it's May 25th. Let me double check that. Yes, May 25th. We do have a couple copies on order, so if you are interested, you can put a hold on it. It's Sister of the Bollywood Bride, and it's by Nandini Bajpai. And I really love this one. It's a very just kind of light, fun read. It's about a girl whose sister is in med school and is getting married. So she doesn't have time to plan her wedding. So you kind of have to suspend disbelief because like there was no way I was going to let my 17-year-old sister plan my wedding. But in this case, she did. And so it's kind of talking about how Padmini is like trying to pull together this big Indian wedding, which Indian weddings are, traditional Indian weddings are very involved. They last many days. There's a lot of different ceremonies. So it's a very involved process. And meanwhile, Padmini is also trying to keep some of her family's traditions in there as well. Their mother passed away when they were teenagers, and she left behind a bunch of Indian jewelry. And so this Indian jewelry that she left behind is actually being used in part to fund the wedding. It's also used in part as, part of their wedding jewelry. It definitely has Never Have I Ever vibes if you watched the Netflix show. There's a little bit of those kind of vibes. Of course, while she's planning this wedding, she meets a cute boy because, of course, and just kind of navigating, trying to balance, her in-laws, because her in-laws have their own traditions that they want included in the wedding, and trying to navigate all of this and keep everybody happy is a challenge for everybody. And if that wasn't enough, there's also a hurricane coming. So it is a little bit of, you do have to suspend your belief a little bit. But it is a very fun story. I'm obsessed with the cover, which Alejandria will insert. It's very pretty. It actually was published back in 2013 originally as a title in India. And so they kind of revamped it a little bit, updated it, and now it's being published in the US for the first time. So that's kind of exciting. It wouldn't surprise me if we end up with like a Netflix movie down the road, to be honest with you, especially given the popularity of Never Have I Ever and, To All the Boys. So definitely check that out if you're looking for kind of a lighthearted read, but one that's very informative. There's a lot of information about cultural traditions and food descriptions and clothing descriptions. So, I mean, it's a really great way to expose yourself to a new culture that you're not familiar with, but still have an enjoyable, relaxing read. So
all three have romance, two have food, really great food descriptions. One has evil corporations.
You don't get food descriptions quite so much in like dystopian sci-fi, I feel like.
Do they eat in dystopian? Like, I feel like a lot of times there's famines. I don't.
Soylent Green.
So a little bit of something for everybody. We will also have displays at both North Side and Southwest with more recommendations if you're looking for things to read for Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So, hope you pick up something great this week.
Bye.